موازن الصلاة.
سورة المباركة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين وأحسن القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أولم ير الذين كفروا أن السماوات والأرض كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي أفلا يؤمنون. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Quran is a book which is expected to be scrutinized from its multifaceted dimensions. That's why when Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in chapter 18, verse number 109 of the Holy Quran, saying, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا. Allah Azza wa Jal says, say, if the seas were ink and the trees were pens to write down the words of Allah Azza wa Jal, to write down the words of my Lord, then indeed the ink would vanish before the words of Allah Azza wa Jal would. Now somebody can ask a question. The Quran itself is a book of 114 chapters and a book with perhaps 6,000 or so words around this number. Yet the whole Quran comes and says that the ink of the sea, if the sea was to be ink and the trees were to be pens, the sea would vanish before the words of Allah Azza wa Jal would. Logically, if you look at it, the whole Quran, 114 chapters with about 6,000 or so words around this number. Why is Allah Azza wa Jal telling me that the sea would vanish before the words would? When obviously the sea in its quantity is much greater than the number of words within the Holy Quran. That no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending a vital message. He's saying that the words of the Holy Quran may be a drop in its size, but each drop is an ocean in its meaning, and it's a vital one. That each word may be seen as a drop in its size, yes, no doubt. You bring together the words of the Holy Quran, it's a finite number of words. A drop in its size, yet indeed an ocean in its meaning. For this reason, the Holy Quran has a number of dimensions which are expected to be scrutinized, and from their multifaceted dimensions. For example, one dimension is the linguistic dimension. A dimension which neither is it prose nor is it exaggerated poetry. A beautiful balance that Allah Azza wa Jal establishes from the linguistic perspective in the Holy Quran that leaves the reader wanting more from this blessed book. One other dimension from the Holy Quran is the scientific dimension. A dimension which many times is put on the side and ignored when coming to this great book. Because we know that the Holy Quran, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam comes and tells you and I, he says has 70 or 70,000 layers. Yet one layer may connect to you on a certain level. Another layer may connect to somebody else on another. For this reason, you look at when the speaker of the Quran would be asked questions, when Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam would be approached, 10 people would come and ask him the same question. He would give each one of them a different answer. 10 same questions, he would give each one of them a different answer. People tell me, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, where's the logic in this? People giving you 10 questions. Each question was the same, yet each answer you gave was different. Imam alayhi salam would do what? He would give them an answer depending on the vibes that emit from them. That he gives you an answer depending on your situation. He gives another person an answer depending on his situation. That likewise, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and the Holy Quran, you'll notice that they give layers which connect to everybody on their own level. That's why the Holy Quran, will notice, is it a book of science? No, no. We should never expect the Holy Quran to come and present to us theories and to come to postulate different scientific models for the human being. That the Quran hasn't been sent as a scientific model. Yet, does it include science? Yes, absolutely. Iqbal, the well-known Muslim Indo thinker and poet, he mentions a very phenomenal line. He says, my goal, he says, the birth of Islam is the birth of inductive reasoning. He says, it's my goal to show to us that the Holy Quran has not only one dimension, but has how many? 3. He says spirituality is only one side of the Holy Quran. He says history and nature, if not taken into consideration, we do an injustice to the Holy Quran. That these 3 essential means essentially contribute to what? They contribute to the primary ethos of the Holy Quran. Now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and tells you an ayah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. He says this Quran guides to that path which is upright. Now Allah Azza wa Jal, guidance is the goal. How does He use it? Iqbal comes and tells us. History, number 1, we see the Quran is replete with history, and Allah Azza wa Jal invites us to be historians. You'll notice there are certain careers which Allah Azza wa Jal invites us to go into. Allah comes and asks us, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, doesn't He? He says, travel in this world. فَانظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةٌ. And Allah Azza wa Jal gives a number of labels. Look at the mujrimeen, look at the kadibeen, look at the munafiqeen perhaps. That Allah Azza wa Jal comes and says, He invites us, go and look throughout history. He invites you and I to be historians. And another level, Iqbal comes and says, that the Holy Quran is also including what? It includes spirituality. That the Quran is replete with iman, replete with verses that make me fearful of the hell and make me more desirable towards the heaven. Yeah, then that third point Iqbal mentions, which has been done an injustice to, especially in our communities. Iqbal comes and says nature. What does he mean by nature? He's telling us that the Holy Quran, when Allah Azza wa Jal comes and says, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Read by the name of your Lord who has created. Now when you really think about it, the first command Allah Azza wa Jal gave to Rasulullah, the first connection that Rasulullah had with Allah Azza wa Jal in this world, the first message that Allah Azza wa Jal sent to the Holy Prophet was what? It wasn't teach them about wilayah. It wasn't teach them about the importance of majlis. It wasn't teach them about the importance of tradition and culture. The first message was Iqra. Read. How many of us in our communities have done justice to reading? Put on the side dua. Put on the side reading the Quran. Encouraging reading, academic reading, religious reading. The works that we have in the religion of Islam are gems that the world doesn't even know about. Forget the world. The Muslims don't even know about the gems. When we say Iqra, we're not only referring to what? To religious texts. Even though religious texts, we've done a great injustice too. The sermon of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, how many of us have taken a chance to read it? For example, Sahif al-Sajjadiyya of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, how many of us have taken time out of our busy schedules, as busy as me baby, 5 minutes out of my day to read Sahif al-Sajjadiyya. Books by Shaheed Mutahari, books by Allama Tabatabai, Shaykh al-Mufid, Allama Tusi, scholar after scholar, you see the religion of Islam comes and presents to you and I. Yet how many of the jewels have we rubbed and polished to present to the world? How many of them have we presented to ourselves? That you'll notice the first word Allah Azza wa Jal tells to Rasulullah is what? Iqra. Read. That this comes and shows what? This comes and shows to you and I that Islam was indeed the religion of inductive reasoning and the religion of science. It's for this reason, do we say that the goal of the Quran is scientific explanation? No, no. We know very well that the goal of the Holy Quran is moral fortification, not scientific explanation. But nonetheless, the Quran comes and uses these methods as goals to spread its essential meaning. That's why when you come in, you look at how non-Muslims and how Islam has treated their scientists, treated their chemists, treated their discoverers, you'll notice there's an unbelievable difference and an unbelievable level of respect given by Islam towards its chemists, discoverers, scientists, and by Christianity and what they have done to their scientists. I'll give you an example. We look at Galileo Galilei. Many of us have learned about Galileo Galilei in our schools. Galileo Galilei came forward in the year 1610 and he postulated his views towards the geocentric theory and the heliocentric theory. He says, by the way, I am not one who believes that the geocentric theory makes complete sense. The heliocentric theory makes more sense. The theory which tells us the earth isn't in the middle of the world and everything rotates around it, yet the sun is. What did they do to this man? From 1610 to 1623, you'll notice from these years, for 23 years in other words, 1610 to 1633, those 23 years, do you know what they would do to Galileo Galilei? They would do three things. Firstly, they would accuse him of heresy, vehemently, one who went against the scriptures of the Bible. They would put him under what? Under house arrest. They would ban the books of his dialogue from being read. The man, what did he do? He simply came and postulated the theory of tides and other theories which he came forward with, and he said, through my discoveries, through my observations, I've come to a conclusion that it's not the geocentric theory, but the heliocentric theory. And in fact, if we really look at it, Galileo Galilei, he didn't even come with a new theory. He just came and said, I agree with those who came before me and said that the heliocentric theory is something that exists. What did they do to him? Under house arrest, banned his books from being read. They accused him vehemently of being accused of heresy. The man, what did he do? He simply came and said something which in their eyes, and this is an essential point, in their eyes they thought what Galileo Galilei was saying, what an exact contradiction to the Bible. Now of course don't be surprised, because in 1992, Pope John Paul II came out, what did he say? He said, thanks to the discoveries of Galileo Galilei, we have now been able to recognize that indeed the scientific model is something that holds much truth and the heliocentric theory is the correct one versus the geocentric theory. He came and he makes an essential point. The Pope continues in the statement. If you want online and read John Paul II's statement in regards to Galileo Galilei, he says the mistake of the church in 1610 and in their reaction to what Galileo Galilei did was what? He says their mistake was that they thought what he said was in contradiction to the Bible. And this is one of the biggest traps that somebody can fall into when trying to merge between science and Islam. You'll notice, where do people fall? You'll notice there are those who say religion answers everything. You'll notice today, if you were to look at the relation between science and religion, it's not an interdependent relationship, right? It's not a relationship where some say, let's merge. You'll see there are scientists and there are people of religion, aren't there? The people of science say we can't merge with religion, and the people of religion say we can't merge with science. And this is one of the biggest problems that even some Muslims may fall into. He comes and he tells you that religion comes and answers everything for me. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can fall into. There are millions of questions religion can't answer. Religion does not have the answer to everything. Religion has the answer to certain things. For example, I want to know how many moons Jupiter has. Which hadith is going to tell me? 67 around these lines, if I'm not mistaken. If I want to know, for example, the size of the sun, which hadith is going to tell me the size of the sun? I want to know, for example, right, how many atoms exist within the human being. Simple. Religion doesn't come and answer these kinds of questions. Religion comes and tells you the how. Yes, science comes and tells you the what. When we look at those certain people who try to merge, they're doing a great injustice. A beautiful system. Islam, what is the definition in Islam's book of merging between science and religion? Is it to say that science is separate from religion and we have all of the answers? No, no, no. First of all, a religion doesn't even intend to be a book of science. It may postulate scientific theories, but question after question that neither Usul al-Kafi, nor Bihar al-Anwar, nor our narrations, nor the Quran can answer. Therefore, if I was just to cling on to religion, I'm being prevented from a number of beautiful mysteries and discoveries within the world. Likewise, you have those who say we don't need religion. No, no, no. Islam, what does it say? Because you'll notice Islam, he comes and he says that Islam comes and has the question to everything. No. Sorry to tell you, but Islam doesn't have the question. Many scientific theories that Islam fails to answer. Now, is this an injustice or does this show a weakness in the religion of Islam? No, on the contrary. This shows to us that Islam has its priorities. It may send to you some scientific points within the whole Quran. Let me give you an example. The verse I began with, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and gives us two very important viewpoints within the world of science. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla comes and says, do the non-believers not see? What does he do? He's challenging them, poking the atheist, poking the disbeliever, telling him, أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Do the non-believers not see? أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا. That the sky and the earth were what? Once a dense ball. Look at the definition of the word ratq. A dense ball. Now Allah Azza wa Jalla, what is he doing in this verse? You'll see those came forward in the 1900s. They came and they said, we have come to a conclusion that the earth was once a dense ball. Big Bang Theory as we know it. You come here and ask the question, was it indeed the West who came forward? You see, the Quran postulated Big Bang years before anybody came. In a time where Rasulullah didn't have NASA, he didn't have tools, he didn't have the means to find the discoveries that the world has today. But nonetheless, he comes and he tells you, Samawat wal Ard kanata ratqan fafataqnahuma. And then we split it. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. Allah Azza wa Jalla then says, and from water we brought everything to life. You see, just recently people recognized that water is a sign of life. That's why you go to Mars, and when you read articles about Mars, one of the best ways they're trying to find out if there's life on Mars is how? If there is water. Because water is an indication of life. Allah Azza wa Jalla came and told them thousands of years before they came with this theory. That's why you'll see Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad salawatullahi wa sallam. Our sixth Imam alayhi salam, he says the taste of water is life. Look at the words of our sixth Imam alayhi salam. He says everything has a taste. You taste certain things. He says the taste of water is life. That's why even our fifth Imam alayhi salam, if I'm not mistaken, comes and he tells us that water is the source of everything. Meaning life comes from water. Imam alayhi salam comes and says this, yet the Quran thousands of years before came and told us the following. Therefore you'll notice the Holy Quran comes and postulates these scientific theories. Yet a question needs to be asked. Is the Quran a book which has every answer for science? No. Einstein may have come a theory which with the Quran didn't postulate. Newton may have come forward with something with the Quran didn't postulate. You look at these scientists that we have in the world today, they may come with new things that the Quran may not have presented. Yeah, our goal isn't to show to the world that we're a religion of science. It's to show that science is used as a means. That's why you'll notice when certain youth have questions, scientific questions, we try to answer to them with the Holy Quran. And then what do? We begin to make it look as if religion itself is a complete system in the sense of what? In the sense of being minusing science from it, it's a complete system. Now he begins to ask questions. For example, prove to me the existence of God. Sometimes you'll notice in Sunday schools, a youth stands up, he says, prove to me the existence of God. What do? We give him a hadith. Tell him, excuse me, when I'm speaking with my atheist friend, he doesn't believe in my narrations. I can't give him a hadith to prove my point. Give me something that meshes with logic. Because logic is universal. The atheist, the Hindu, the Muslim, the Christian, the Buddhist, the Jew, whatever it may be. Logic is something quite universal. Therefore, give me something logical, you'll notice he'll give you a narration. That's why you'll notice even there may have been debates, right? With atheists, you'll notice somebody goes up there and he gives a narration. He gives a verse from the Holy Quran. Okay, that's excellent. Yet use the Quran to extract a logical point. You're going to tell him the Quran says this. He doesn't believe in the Quran. For goodness sake, he doesn't believe in the God that sent the Holy Quran or the messenger that the Quran was sent upon. Therefore, you'll notice that's when we set religion as a system independent from science, we're doing an injustice both to science and to religion. That's why when you come to the Holy Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla comes and tells us Surah Al-Mulk, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Look how He tells you, look at the creation, study science, be a scientist. Yet the problem with atheism and science is where? Atheism took science as an ends. Islam comes and says science is but a means. Science is the language of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Everything has a language. And I'll come further in the presentation towards this one. Everything you find has a language. The language of Allah Azza wa Jalla is science. How does Allah speak to me? Allah may speak in a number of ways. He may speak to an angel through a dream, for example. Speaking to Ibrahim alayhi salam. He speaks to Nabiullah Ibrahim through a dream. He tells him, إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ. He tells him, oh my son, I have just seen in my dream that I have been ordered to kill you. That one way Allah Azza wa Jal speaks to insan is through a dream. Now is every dream a revelation? No, it may be the iftar that he had on the previous night was a little bit too strong. Yet, in the major sense of things, revelation may be a form of means that Allah Azza wa Jal speaks to insan with. That you have a dream. You have even, for example, through an angel. You have, for example, through instinct, Allah speaks to the bumblebee. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى النَّحْلِ وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ Allah Azza wa Jal continues the verse. He sends revelation to the bumblebee. Yet then you even find he sends revelation to who? To the mother of Musa alayhi salam. Yes? وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنِ اتَّخِذِي فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجاعلوه من المرسلين. Allah sends revelation to the mother of Musa. He even sends revelation to the disciples of Isa. وإذ أوحيت إلى الحواريين أن آمنوا بي آمنوا بي وبرسولي along these lines tells us in the Quran. He sends revelation to the disciples of Isa alayhi salam. Therefore, you'll notice, and an essential point needs to be made here before I continue this point. You notice Allah sends revelation to the bee. He sends revelation to the mother of Musa, to the disciples of Isa alayhi salam. For goodness sake, He speaks to prophets through a dream. All of these entities receive revelation. Why is it so difficult to believe that Muhammad received revelation as well? You'll notice some come and tell you that no, only Rasulullah receives revelation. To tell us that Ahlul Bayt receive revelation is quite impossible. We come and ask him, the mother of a prophet receives revelation. The disciples of a prophet receive revelation. For goodness sake, this cute little bumblebee receives revelation. Why is it difficult to believe that the family of the greatest of prophets receive revelation as well? Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Therefore Allah speaks to us in a number of ways. One of the most powerful and universal languages is science. What does Allah come and tell me? He says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا. The one who created 7 layers, one stacked upon the other. مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ. You don't see in the creation of Allah clash or contradiction. فَارْجِعِ الْبَصَرَ هَلْ تَرَى مِنْ فُطُورٍ. Allah says, bring your sight back. Do you see any cracks? Do you see any flaws? Allah says, don't stop there. ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. Allah says, go a second time, you'll come back خاسئا وهو حسير. You'll be amazed by the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah, what is He asking you to do? He's saying, look at creation, be a scientist, look at the scientific aspect of this universe, yet come to a conclusion that if the creation is this great, I just failed to fathom how great is the one who created it. And I mentioned to you previously, this comparison of greatness between creation and creator is a comparison which cannot even be made because you're putting them on the same breath. The narration of our Sixth Imam alayhi salam, who says, Allahu Akbar min ay yusaf. Allah is greater than being described. Yet you'll notice Islam comes and says, science is a means. Atheism fell in disregard. You'll see people like Stephen Hawking, you'll see people like Richard Dawkins. These people, these intellectuals, they come forward and he begins to tell you that the scientific beauty of this world. He'll go into the multi-worlds and all of these different Big Bang theory and evolution. He begins to present theory after theory to you. You'll notice there's never a mention of God. The problem here was where he got so involved with the means, he failed to recognize what the ends was. Allah says, I'm giving you these beauties so that you can realize my existence. Doesn't the hadith al-Qudsi come and say, كنت كنزا مخفيا فأحببت أن أعرف فخلقت الخلق. I was a hidden treasure. I wanted to be known, so I created creation. That Allah Azza wa Jalla gives it to you to know Him. What do? It's almost as if somebody comes and gives you a meal. You get so busy with the food, you forget to thank the cook. You'll notice sometimes the meal is so good, you forget the cook. You're infatuated with the seasonings and with the cooking, especially the cookings that we have in the month of the holy month of Ramadhan. You'll notice, that's why I mentioned to you, when it comes time to eat, you forget everything. You're in a different world. You're eating. You don't even ask the question, who cooked this food? You're so busy with the meal, you forget to thank the one who cooked it. The atheist falls in the same exact mistake. He gets so captivated by the creation. You'll see him publishing books about some minute detail of the world, volumes of books. You tell him that's great. The means is beautiful, but have you failed to understand the ends? That the scientist, he gets so, sometimes you think about it. The more you know about this world, the more you would be able to say, Allah Akbar, how great of a Lord have I been blessed with. Yeah, no. He gets so busy with the means, he forgets the ends. It's for this reason that if you were to split between science and religion, you begin to see the repercussions taking place. Because science presents something and religion presents another. Shaheed Murtada Mudahari, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, he mentions an essential point when comparing between science and religion, telling us that science gives something, but religion comes and gives another. What does he say? He says science comes and gives us the tools, but religion comes and gives us the purpose. Look at the words of Shaheed Murtada Mudahari. The man who comes, he works on what he says. So inshallah we can pay attention to what he says. He says science comes and gives us tools, but religion comes and gives us purpose. He says science gives us speed, but religion gives us direction. He says science and religion both give man safety, but science gives us outer safety and religion gives us inner safety. He says both science and man give out power, yet science gives us outer power, whereas religion and faith gives us inner power. He says a vital line. He then says science connects us horizontally, whereas religion connects us vertically. Look at the words. I don't know, are you with me? Shaykh Murtada Mudahari comes and says, science connects us what? Horizontally. And religion connects us vertically. That I want to know the sciences behind this mountain, how it erupts, or a volcano, what is this lava consisting of, the time it takes, go to the science books. Yeah, I want to realize why this mountain exists, I go back to the books of religion. Religion gives me purpose, whereas science comes and gives me tools. That's why you'll notice, if you were to split between science and religion, you see unbelievable repercussions. Let's see firstly, science without religion. Science without religion is what? It's a tool in the hand of a maniac. You'll notice he'll have the weapons, he'll have the ability to put down explosives on a certain country, but there isn't morality to border it. This is what science without religion. That you may have all of the artillery, you have all of the weapons, you have all of the material with you, but there's no purpose to aim at. That's why you'll see people such as Hitler. Hitler was a man of unbelievable rationale. If you listen to his lectures, you notice this man was one of the greatest orators that we had. A man of rationale, yet remove faith from it, he becomes a tool in the hand of what? A tool in the hand of a maniac. You put a knife in the hand of a mental person, don't be surprised if certain people get killed or stabbed. Because you've put a sane tool in the hands of somebody insane. Science, remove religion from it, it becomes what? It becomes a picture without a border. It becomes a tool without a purpose. It becomes speed without direction. Yet you then come and you take religion and remove science from it as well. What does it become? It becomes a deformed system. It becomes a system of blind fanaticism. Yes? You'll notice, for example, the Khawarij, this whole philosophy of removing science and intellect from religion was manifested very beautifully in the Khawarij. Khawarij, you'll notice what would they do? Khawarij, I mentioned to you previously, they came into existence in the Battle of Siffin, yet the Khawarij were people of utmost faith. To the extent that Ibn Abbas would be sent by Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam to them, he would tell them, go and tell them that I want to begin to fight with you. You've reached a peak in your threat to the religion of Islam, it's time to get rid of you physically. He would go to them, Ibn Abbas would come back and tell them, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, I can't fight them. You know, Ibn Abbas, I sent you to them to get rid of them, what are you doing? I, Amir al-Mu'minin, gave you a command. He said, Ya Ali ibn Abi Talib, I saw the marks of sujood on their forehead. How do you expect me to fight people with sujood on their forehead? That the Khawarij were people of almost faith, almost religion. Yet remove aqil and you begin to have Abdul Rahman ibn Mujib, who I mentioned to you previously. He says, I want to get closer to Allah on the best day, Laylatul Qadr. I want to get closer to Allah in the best way, which is by killing Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. That you'll notice these people, what did they do? They kept religion, they kept faith. Remove aqil, you have a Khawarij. Khawarij of today, who are they? Who are Khawarij of today? Our good brothers, known as the Wahhabis. Yes? The Wahhabis, what did they do? He had the faith. You'll notice, he's probably more loyal to the hadith than you and I are, with all honesty. Yet he removed aqil. What does he become? You begin to see him forming into groups. They begin to have the audacity to break the graves of awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal. That this is a man, he claims to have faith, yet you'll see him, he attacks the dome of Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. You tell him, what's going on? No, you're not allowed to worship graves. Okay, question, am I worship? You know, you'll ask him, Abu Hanifa, he has a grave, why don't you break his grave? You'll notice he only comes to the grave of Zainab alayhi salam. He comes to the grave of Hujr bin Adi, to the companions of the Holy Prophet of Islam. You tell him, there it is, you have the grave of Muawiyah of Yazid, of your people, go and break it. No, he only comes to my grave. I don't understand. And you'll notice, he comes and he says, we're against the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatest enemies of Islam. There he is. You know where he is. You know where he's lying. Why do you come to my place in Iraq? Why do you come to where we are in Syria? With a non-Muslim, you know the enemy. You know who the enemy is. There he is. You know where he lives, and you know how to get there. But the world works in very interesting ways. You remove aql from faith, you begin to have who? You begin to have indeed the Khawarij. It's for this reason Shaykh Murtada Mutahari comes and says, religion is what gives us tools, but science is what, or science comes and gives us tools, and religion comes and gives us purpose. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It's for this reason that if we were to split between the two, you begin to see repercussions taking place. Yet when you come to certain examples I would like to present to you to clarify this notion, some may come and ask the question, what do we do when science disagrees with religion? Because you have, in our schools today, we're taught evolution. Question needs to be asked. Does Islam agree with the theory of evolution? Or is evolution something which is non-Islamic? When you come to the Holy Quran, first of all, Allah Azza wa Jal comes and speaks to us about how He sent Adam alayhi salam. Because we know that Allah Azza wa Jal works in logical ways, yes? When you come to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, you'll notice they would not give things in an emotional way. Because there are what? There are three different languages of the human being. The heart has a language which is love, yes? The body has a language which is movement, physical movement. Yet the intellect also has a language, which is known as the language of what? The language of science. If you're to remove one of these languages, you're not a complete individual anymore. That's why Noursa Ma'soom is what? He's physically, he's on top. Mentally, he's on top, and spiritually, he's on top. Keep the spirit, keep the body, remove the intellect, he's no longer a ma'soom. Meaning science and the intellect is one of the most primary ingredients to make a ma'soom a ma'soom. That's why you'll notice that whenever they would answer questions they were posed, they would answer it through what? Through logical means, not through emotional means. One example, we know that Jundub, better known as Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, radiyallahu ta'ala an, would one day be walking with Sayyid al-Arafin, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salamullahi ta'ala alayhi. He would be walking with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. All of a sudden, Jundub or Abu Dhar, he sees a number of ants in a lake. He says, Subhanallah, look at these ants, how great are they? And the Lord that knows how much ants are floating in this river. Imam Ali alayhi salam tells him, don't say that. He said, what do you mean don't say that? Did I say something wrong? Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He would say, glory be to the Lord who created me, who also knows the details of these ants. I know which one is male, which one is female. I know the details of this one from that one. Imam alayhi salam, what is he telling him? He's telling him Allah knows. Yes, no doubt. Allahu a'lam. We say Allah knows better. Yet insan, is he able to know? That you'll notice some people, they come and they ask a question. Allah Azza wa Jal can say kun fayakun. Yes? Why did He create the world in 6 days? Allah Azza wa Jal can just want this world to come into existence and there it is. Why does He have to create a theory which is known as, or a method which we refer to as evolution? Because evolution at the end of the day, what is it? God creates. How does He create? That means could be explained logically. In His eyes, it's kun fayakun. Yet in our eyes, there's an explanation behind it. For example, Allah comes and says, I'm going to create the sun. All He needs to say is kun fayakun. Yet there's people who major in this very sun. You'll see me publishes books about it. The science behind it. That God creates, yes, kun fayakun. Yet then a question needs to be asked. Why does He create in 6 days? Some can ask a very interesting question. God can say kun fayakun, can He? He says be and it will be. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَنْ يَقُولَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ. His command is if you want something, if His irada wants something, He says kun fayakun, be and it will be. Why is He the same Lord that creates in 6 days? فِي سِتَّةِ أَيَّامٍ. No, first of all, there's a biological reason, and I'll come to the other reasons. Biological reason is what? First of all, we know everything has a method of graduality. A flower, you may be the greatest of planters, yeah, it's not going to come. Allah Azza wa Jal couldn't tell it kun fayakun. Yet He created a gradual method for it to grow. I have to plant the seed, I have to water it, I have to give it sunlight, I have to give it oxygen. A gradual method. You'll notice, one of the biggest problems in this world is when you remove this element of graduality. You'll notice one of the biggest problems in this world emerge from removing this notion of getting things gradually. You look at somebody who puts steroids. A person who puts steroids, what's the problem with him? He doesn't want to go through the effort. He doesn't want to go to the gym. You'll notice he goes, but he wants a shortcut. Insan is always looking for that shortcut. Allah says, I am the Lord that says, Kun fayakun, I created the world in 6 days. I want to give you a lesson. You want things right away? It doesn't work like that. Ya ayyuha insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. He says, you're struggling until you meet me. That He wants to show us that there is a gradual. You see, he wants to get big muscles. What does he do? He comes and takes steroids. You look at somebody, for example, who wants money. He doesn't want to work for it. What is he going to do? Is he going to steal? Is he going to become a robber? He's going to become a thief. You want to see somebody who wants to gain power and dominance. He doesn't want to go through the political system. He kills and bloodsheds and does whatever you have to do to get on top. That you'll notice Allah Azza wa Jalla comes and tells you, the first thing is the biological reason. I can say kun fayakun, but there are laws for this world. And I want to show to you that there's a biological system that I've created. Graduality. On another level, some come and mention other interesting reasons as to why is it Allah Azza wa Jalla can say kun fayakun, but He created the world in 6 days. We go into our books of our Sunni brothers, and they present also some very logical explanations. Ibn al-Jawzi, for example, he comes and he says that Allah Azza wa Jalla can create in 6 days. But what does He do? He comes and He gives it to you in 6 days. He can create it instantly, but He gives it to you in 6 days so that He can show His authority to the angels. Allah Azza wa Jal wants to demonstrate. He demonstrated His power through kun fayakun, yet He wants to demonstrate His wisdom when He creates in 6 days. Yes? He can say kun fayakun. That demonstrates His power. Yet Allah wants to demonstrate His qualities to insan. Therefore, what is He going to do? Kun fayakun, He's going to demonstrate it through what? His power will be demonstrated through that. Yet He wants to demonstrate His wisdom. Therefore, He demonstrates it through creating in 6 days. On another level, Allah Azza wa Jalla wants to teach patience to the insan that I mentioned to you previously. And others even come and say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to show to you and I that there is a process to everything. Therefore, when you begin to look at these points, insan comes to a realization that the marja' should sit down with the scientist. Yes? The scholar sits down with the anatomist. The sheikh sits down with the doctor. Only here would you begin to see true fruition taking place in the religion of Islam. Look at the respect Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam would give to Jabir bin Hayyan. Jabir bin Hayyan, who today is known as what? Jibr, the father of chemistry. 112 volumes he would publish, contributing to the world of science. He would begin, he would say, Allamani Ja'far al-Sadiq. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam would show utmost respect to him. What is he telling you and I? He's telling you Islam without science is an incomplete system. That if you were to connect one to another, an interdependent relationship, this is when we begin to see the true relationship of science and Islam coming into existence. That's why one essential point is that we'll see Einstein, Albert Einstein, what did he say? He says science without religion is blind, and religion without science is lame. Einstein, by the way, some come and say that he was an agnostic. He was one who didn't believe in God. And I have debated even with professors in biology, and they come and say, don't use this quote to show that he was a person of religion. Einstein, what is he saying? He's saying that science without religion is what? It's blind. In other words, you can use it in very bad ways. As I mentioned to you, a tool in the hand of a maniac. Yet religion without science is lame, because it becomes a system of blind fanaticism and a system which is void of rationale and intellect. And that's why I mentioned to you this last point, which comes and shows to us our 6th Imam alayhi salam. He would once be approached by Hisham. Hisham would tell him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I was posed a very difficult question by an atheist and I ceased to answer it. I told him, Hisham, what's the question? He told him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, the atheist came to me. He told me, can your Lord fit this grand universe into an egg without the egg getting bigger and without the universe getting smaller? All of a sudden, Imam Salih alayhi salam would tell him, Hisham, there's a very simple answer to this question. He told him, what's the answer, Ya ibn Rasulullah? He told him, Hisham, do you have faculties? Do you have senses? He told him, yes. He told him, how many? He He told him the power to see, the power to hear, the power to touch, the power, he would list all 5 of them. He would tell him, Hisham, what's the smallest of your senses? He told him, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, it's my eyes. He told him, do you see that building? Go on top of the building and begin to look at things. Come down and tell me what you see. Hisham would go, he would come back. He'd tell me, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I saw a number of things. What did you see? I saw the sky, I saw the ground, I saw people, I saw everything in my eye, Ya Ibn Rasulullah. Look at the reply, Imam Salih. He would tell him, if your Lord could fit the whole world into your eye being smaller than an egg, then why can't he fit the world into an egg being larger than your eye? Imam alayhi salam gave him an answer which meshes all of a sudden with my intellect. He could have told him, Hisham, what kind of question is that? Are you serious? Don't be my companion, don't talk to me. He could have told him these kinds of, he told him an answer which instantly satisfied not his emotion, not something that angered him. Sometimes you see, you come to somebody, ask him a question, he doesn't know the answer, what does he do? He gets mad at you. How could you ask such a question? Are you for real? You're asking, how, kafir, get him out of the masjid. You notice Imam alayhi salam, he could have done that to this kind of a question. It was a very bizarre question. You'll notice Imam alayhi salam and they would pose question after question. They would all answer with logic and rationale. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. You notice the Quran, this verse, يَسْأَلُونَكَ is repeated in a number of places. They ask you about Anfal. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِنْ اللَّهِ أنه قليل along these lines that Allah Azza wa Jalla comes and says يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. They ask you. Did Rasulullah ever tell them, how could you ask such a question? When he didn't know the answer, what would he do? To be honest with you, I had no knowledge of this. He tells them, I have very little knowledge of the soul. The Sa'ah, he would come and tell them, we don't know the time of the Sa'ah. Only Allah Azza wa Jalla knows. That you'll notice he wouldn't get angry. He would always approach it in a way which encourages him to ask questions. You'll notice in our centers, when somebody asks a question and doesn't know the answer, he gets mad and he makes him feel guilty for him not knowing the answer. Imam alayhi salam gives him a question which makes him happy, an answer which makes him satisfied. He could have told him, egg, universe, for real? This is all you're busy with? Hisham, like this, people are dying around the world, you're asking me about. He could have came up with something that made Hisham feel so, and Hisham would have truly felt as if it was a stupid question to ask. The only stupid question is a question which isn't asked. When we told this in our schools, the worst question is a question which isn't asked, because we have keys of knowledge, or locks of knowledge. The keys are asking questions. For this reason, we'll notice that Imam alayhi salam would give him an answer based on rationale and based on intellect. Therefore, when we come to our communities, let us take the initiative, brothers and sisters. If a youth comes and asks a question, we don't know. If he doesn't know the answer, if we don't know the answer to that question, we tell him, we don't know, I'll come back to you tomorrow. Yet by telling him, don't ask such a question, do you know what we're doing? We have already paved the way for him to leave Islam. I promise you. Christianity, people leave Christianity. Why? Because they have fell in this regard. They ask a question, what do they say? They say, have faith. Sometimes you'll be sitting, you ask a priest a question, he tells you, have faith. Okay, have faith sounds excellent. I even remember one day sitting down with Christians, and I told them, listen, if we don't answer the questions of our youth, we shouldn't be surprised if they're going to leave our religion. I'm speaking to you as one who believes in God. Forget me trying to bring people to my religion and you bring me. I told people will leave God entirely if we don't give them answers to their questions. That in a world like today, it doesn't suffice to simply tell him Allah. No, you know sometimes what they'll tell you? You'll come and ask a question, he'll tell you, Allah, there are certain things which we don't know. No doubt. There are a number of things. Salat al-Maghrib 3 rak'at. Come and tell me why. Why is Maghrib 3 rak'at? There are certain things we don't know. Why, for example, do I pray 5 times a day? Why isn't it 7? Why do I have 10 fingers? Give me 11. Let one nice one pop out of here, and you never know. Whenever you need an extra finger, you can just use that one that's sticking out of here. Why? Why do I have, give me 3 eyes. Imagine how beautiful would it be if I had an eye right here, right? Even when my head is down, I can still look at you. That would be something quite interesting. Imagine I had eyes on the back of my head. Even when the teacher is teaching, she still sees me. You know, sometimes she tells you, I have eyes at the back. It would have been beautiful. Give me, for example, another arm that comes out from here. Why 2 arms? There are certain, now of course this is the best way we could have been created. الَّذِي أَحْسَنَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقَهُ, no doubt. Perfected everything He has created, no doubt. But there are certain things we cease to know. If insan comes and says, I don't know, this is half of knowledge. They say, نِصْفَ الْعِلْمِ أَن تَقُولَ لَا أَعْلَمُ. Half of knowledge is to say, I don't know. Yet to say there is no answer to this, what have you done? You don't want to put the blame on yourself. I haven't done enough studies. I haven't read enough. I've never really come across the answer. What do we tell them? We tell them Islam doesn't, Allahu A'lam. We don't know this answer in the religion. Besides getting him to question your knowledge, you just got him to question the religion of Islam, and that's Allahu Akbar. Islam, Insan is a representative of Islam. What do we do sometimes? We don't mind throwing the blame on a religion just so that the blame doesn't come on us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very angry at these kinds of things, and even on a higher level, it gets the youth to deprive themselves from the religion. To see Islam, that's why you'll notice, you go to certain places, you'll see youths in the clubs, yes? You'll see him in the time of Muharram, yes? You'll see he leaves the masjid, he goes and does certain things which he just heard in the masjid not to do. You ask the question, why? We shouldn't be surprised, brothers and sisters. Wallah, we shouldn't be surprised. When youth leave the religion, we should first ask the question, have we given, because you know what he'll do sometimes, you'll see a youth, he walks in with a mohawk, right? You'll see certain people, what is he going to say? Or with shorts. Sometimes he'll be sitting, he's bad. You see that mohawk on his head? Astaghfirullah. His parents really did not teach him well. I ask you a question, brothers and sisters. If we were to walk in a center with a mohawk, for example, let's say, or shorts, and somebody treated us in such a way, Billah alaykum, I ask you, Allah Azza wa Jalla is our witness, would we come back to that center or no? Huh? I won't come back to that center, because I don't feel welcomed in that center. You'll notice, where is he going to go after that? He says, I don't feel comfortable in the masjid, therefore where am I going to go? Let me go to the clubs. The clubs accept me as horrible as I look, as different as I look. I could have, for example, I could have a rainbow. You know, sometimes you go to the airport and you see that one guy who has to come out about 15 different times, earring in his tongue, earring. Sometimes he has an earring right here, earring inside of his nose. He has to dig deep and pull it out. That you'll notice this kind of a person. As colorful as he looks, he may be a walking rainbow. I don't know what he is. He may be a walking hedgehog. Doesn't matter. He walks into a club, what begins to happen? People accept him the way he is. That Islam and our centers need to learn. If we don't accept youth initially, we're going to repel him. And the minute I come and I say, did he hear so-and-so became a Christian? Don't be surprised he became a Christian. Because he wasn't accepted in the religious center, therefore he said. That's why you'll notice, a lot of the people, where does he go initially? He doesn't come to the path of Ahlul Bayt, he goes to other sects. And then maybe he comes to the path of Ahlul Bayt. Why doesn't he come with us? Because firstly, you'll notice if a Sunni is here, what do we call him? You notice the minute you see somebody who's a little bit different, what do we say? That's a spy. You've noticed this? We have a spy in the mission. Be careful, you have a spy sitting next to you. What do you mean you have a spy? Just because he acts different? Just because he's somebody from a different sect? Or sometimes you'll notice somebody comes with his hands folded. He'll get the dirtiest looks, almost as if he's a murderer and just walked into the masjid. Or sometimes you'll notice the classic. A Christian comes in, walks out. Brother, can you please clean here? There's some najasa over here. The Christian just came and stepped here. 100% do you see that's alcohol? What do you mean that's alcohol? How do you know that's alcohol? Clean it. Then the Muslim or the non-Muslim hears these kinds of things. Or then you have the other classic one, where you cannot touch him because he's najis. No doubt, these rulings exist in our books, and Maraja came forward with these respected rulings. Yet, firstly, if I was to tell these kinds of rulings to a non-Muslim, what's going to happen? Is he going to be more interested in the religion, or is he going to come away from the religion of Islam? Rasulullah would go out in the streets. Would he say, you're a Hindu, let me not speak to you? And nobody's questioning Marja here. Let nobody say, where's the authority to question what the Marja has said? No, the Marja has said it, yet the Marja sometimes lives in a different time. Therefore, you'll notice, ulama of recent came with different rulings. Therefore, in the most part, what do we see? We'll notice that when we have this kind of approach, we remove the intellectual, we remove the idea to understand the youth. That's why let a center understand that if I'm not going to give activities to the youth, activities which cater to him as a youth, activities which satisfy his questions, then how do I expect him to come? I understand I came from my country with baggage after baggage filled with culture and tradition, and that's excellent. Islam does not neglect culture. Yet to what extent will I strive to implement my cultural teachings at the stake and sacrifice of the religion of my youth? Me as an elderly, my Islam is protected, isn't it? I go back home, nobody's going to challenge my Islam. My Islam is very much preserved, alhamdulillah. Yet it's this tree that's continuing to grow. Am I going to give it the water, or am I simply going to treat it as I have been taught to treat it? That's why Imam Ali alayhi salam comes and says, do not force your children to be like you, for they have been created in a time other than you. May Allah Azza wa Jal allow us to realize that we have in our communities people of multiple ages, people of multiple mentalities, and if we were not to cater to them, let us not be surprised when they leave the religion of Islam. Let every individual go on the social networks and see how youth are acting. You'll see what happens. Favorite book, Nahj al-Balagha. Favorite singer, Britney Spears. How does that work? Only Allah Azza wa Jal knows. Favorite book is what? Nahj al-Balagha. Favorite book, Quran. Favorite book, Tu'uf al-Uqul. Favorite singer, Michael Jackson, Justin Bieber. Who? Justin Bieber. Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. That you'll notice that we deify these individuals. You've noticed, huh? He comes and he brings you singer after singer. It's almost as if he has 15 imams. 40 or the 12th imam is the 12th. After that, he has another imam. Imam Justin Timberlake. He then has Imam Michael Jackson. You'll notice, go into his room, I promise you, if you see a picture of Ali ibn Abi Talib, that's excellent. You'll see a picture of Michael Jackson with his one glove doing those moves. It's unfortunate we've deified them. Yes. And nobody's telling us that this is correct. Absolutely wrong. Because somebody will come and say, no, he's just listening to the music. That's excellent, right? No. You'll begin to notice he walks in a certain way. He dresses in a certain way. He carries his swag. What does he carry? His swag in a certain way. You'll notice all of these things, and then we get surprised. Why are you acting like this? No, because his role model was so and so. Insan is a victim of his society. Insan is the product of his role model. Therefore, let us find means to bring our youth to the centers, satisfying their needs. Otherwise, let us not be surprised when they leave the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma arinil haqqa haqqan fa'attabi'ah. والباطل باطلا فاجتنباه اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وأواني والمستشهدين بين يديه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين and to answer our du'as and to hasten the appearance of our Prophet and to have our hajat fulfilled. We recite Surah Al-Fatiha following a salawat upon Muhammad wa